The Shepnaz podcast begins now.
You're listening to the Shepnaz podcast, a podcast by Shepherd Church. Everything we do here is to connect our community in a meaningful relationship with Christ, so we're expecting great things. My name is Joey. I'm the host here of this podcast. I'm one of the pastors here at Shepherd, and I am joined today by Pastor Brett. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
Brett is coming on as a summer intern, but some of you watching may know Brett already. He has been around for a little bit. And we're going to talk about that. But he's going to be working with us this summer, getting some experience under his belt as he pursues a call to ministry.
That's right.
So, Brett, let's go ahead and dive in and talk about you, which you're really excited about, and your hands are only a little bit clammy about having to talk about yourself
And now
in front
everybody
of the
knows.
camera.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we just like to put it out there to try to...
It's an honest podcast.
Yeah. Oh, it's honest, all right. So... let's talk about you, man. So you've been a part of Shepherd for how long?
For my life.
Your life.
Approximately as long as I've been around, yeah.
And so I'm just worried about how soon that has been since then, because people say that, and I'm thinking, oh, so like, mid-90s, but that's not the case.
I was born in 02.
Yeah,
So.
that's sad, scary. It was a big deal for me when I started having kids in my youth group born in 2000. I started getting a little panicky about life, but it's all right. So you were born in 2002.
Yeah.
And you've been a part of Shepherd since then. Talk to me a little bit about what it was like to grow up in a church like this, or when you came to faith in Christ. Like when did you make that decision that you were going to follow Jesus?
Yeah, so I actually gave my life to Christ, not at this church.
Cool.
It was at, I believe it was a Baptist VBS down the street from my house. And so there was like a week-long VBS, and there was inflatables. And so I was like, can I go? And so I went, and they had this good speaker that I think had puppets, and it was super cool. And that was when it happened. I went down to the altar. He did a great job speaking.
Our new children's pastor is in the audience today, and she's taking notes on how to...
Puppets.
Like, this is how we win kids to the Lord.
I know there's
bounce
puppets.
houses and puppets.
Yes. Write that
And
down.
we have to become a Baptist church because apparently we couldn't
That's a
do it.
roadblock. No. Yeah.
So, all right. So you at VBS, you became a follower of Jesus, and so you're pretty young. What was it like to kind of grow up in that? Like, were you just from then on solid? Everything was perfect.
I'm not going to say that everything was perfect. I grew up here when I was in the children's ministry here. Pastor Julie Stevens was our children's pastor, and honestly, I loved it. I was definitely pretty passionate. I've always been that kid that wants to know all the answers to everything. So I've been kind of a learner ever since, and that's kind of carrying forward even into my university life now. So.
Cool. Well, speaking of that, the reason that you're with us right now is that you have said that you feel like you've been called to ministry. And so let's talk about that experience. What was it like? Maybe what was the call to ministry like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it wasn't like, I guess per se an audible voice. It centered around this experience that I had. This time it was actually at Shepherd. So
Okay, good.
Good job, guys. I actually had an opportunity given to me by our previous youth pastor.
Yeah.
He gave me a chance. I think it started just with announcements, and he was like, "Hey, you're pretty good at public speaking. Have you ever felt a call to ministry?" And I said, "No." And then that's when you know your fate was sealed, right?
Yeah.
And so no, but he's like, "I think you should give it a shot." And so he gave me a chance to preach on a Wednesday night, and it was just like an amazing experience. And I remember that like God spoke through me, and I remember afterwards seeing a post on Facebook about something, and I was like, yeah, that's like a good quote. And the person was like, that was you. And I was like, that's so crazy, because that was not like at all, like I wasn't going to take credit for that, you know? That was God speaking through me. And that night I was like I understood this is exactly where God wanted me to be.
Awesome, man. And so you have, you're in the midst of your years at college. You're at Mount Vernon Nazarene University.
Yep.
And you graduate
Next year.
So 2024.
That's right.
Yeah. On track and everything.
Yeah, everything's going pretty well with that.
And then anything big happening this summer for you?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the correct answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The way this works is you elaborate when you answer a question.
Oh, all right. So yes,
Yeah.
the answer is yes. aside from this pretty cool internship here.
That's not what I was asking
I know,
about.
I know.
Okay.
I was saying aside from that, that's not my answer.
This is really exciting, but yeah.
The correct answer is, and the true answer is that I'm getting married this summer, June 30th.
Cool beans.
Super cool. I've been with Emma for like almost 5 years now, and we actually met at this youth group. Don't tell the kids that. Or
No, stop it. Yeah,
But-
we're gonna edit that part out.
Yeah, we actually knew each other.
No dating in high school.
Yeah, we've known each other our whole lives, so they don't even get to use that as an excuse.
Cool. Awesome. Well, hey, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about what you're thinking about in ministry, and kind of talk about this internship and how you can kind of grow in it. All right.
Sounds good.
So stick around.
This Wednesday, Alpha begins at 6:30. When you come to Alpha, you'll notice that first, there's food. This is a time to get to know each other in a casual setting. Next, you'll watch an Alpha Talk. These are designed to spark conversation about the big questions around life and faith. After the talk, it's time for a discussion. Alpha is for everyone, and new people are welcome each week. And you can get to know Pastor Joey, which is a real treat. Next Sunday is Grad Sunday, and we will be honoring the successful scholars amongst our church family and finding out their plans for the future. If you have a graduate in your family, let us know.
All right, thanks for being here. And Brett, once again, man, thanks for being on the podcast. We're excited to have you. It's been a rousing first week for your internship. So let's talk about your kind of what you're thinking about when it comes to ministry and what you feel like God's calling you to. And it doesn't mean, we all know that God calls us, and then he can shift our call and call us to new places and new things. But as you have worked through some studies in Mount Vernon, or you've studied with God and you've kind of walked close to him, where do you feel like God's pulling you when it comes to how he's calling you to serve in your future?
Yeah. So during the school year, I've been helping out at a church up in Loudonville, a Nazarene church, and they've given me an opportunity to help, really to come alongside them with their youth ministry. And they kind of, the pastor there is super cool, and she kind of like allowed us to step in and kind of take over. And she's like, do with it what you'd like. Like, we just want to see some kids showing up. And so we got the opportunity to do that, and it's been super cool. But honestly, my favorite part about that is, for whatever reason, schools around there have a big problem with like bullying. And so it's been really cool to see like what the good news of the gospel can offer these kids that feel like they have like no value, or feel like they're not loved, or they're cast aside, because you come into a place where kids don't hear that message, and just to know that they are like of infinite value just because God loves them is life-changing for them. And so that's kind of a passion that I have.
Awesome. So you're thinking youth ministry,
Yeah.
kind of off the bat, that God's calling you to youth ministry, work with teenagers. Awesome. Is there what is it? Because we want this to be on record so that we can use it. That we'll say, you told you so. What's like the place that you're like, I don't want to do that?
Oh man,
Because God's going to take
not
that
supposed
and
to
use
say
that
this.
ironically in your life.
man. I guess.
And careful, because Pastor Blair's here, so you can't be mean about children's ministry.
No, I could, because she's got it covered, right?
Okay.
The place I don't want to be. I don't know. I guess truthfully, long-term plan, I hope to be a lead pastor like Rob one day. And youth ministry is where I'm at right now. I love kids too. My mom's a preschool teacher. I got a little nephew, and every experience I have with kids has been great, which is unrealistic, but that's fun stuff to recognize anyway. I guess my answer is just like nowhere that's really stuck, and that's not to say I want to move around a lot, just that like I want to be involved everywhere as much as I can.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you're hoping to experience this summer at Shepherd's. You've been a part of Shepherd for a long time, and you've even volunteered at Shepherd's. So it's not as if you've not seen some of the things that happens behind the scenes, but what are you looking forward to? What are you hoping that you can get into? And then maybe talk about how you could be a part of what's going on here.
Yeah, I would say like this summer, one of the things that I'm looking forward to is I think hopefully I'll get to do some work in the prayer and praise here, and then also with the youth as well. And really, I just want to like be a part of sharing the good news to everyone that I can get a chance to share it with. Ultimately, that's one of the things that is the most refreshing in ministry, I think, which is maybe kind of a cheap answer for me then, because I just want all the good stuff, right? But already there's some
but those things are what make the other things that aren't as fun
worthwhile.
Worth it, right? You know, you can't do this all the time, but those are the things that help to push you forward when you have to do the things that, stacking chairs or making sure they're straight. And Pastor Rob pulls out the chains to make sure that the lines are all straight. The things that nobody sees.
Right.
But when you do those, but when you get to be able to be a part of those gospel conversations and see lives transformed, it makes it worth it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, that is Brett Dillinger, everybody. We're excited to have him here, and you can find him. He's going to be around, and he's got some cool things that are going to happen, and he's going to get married. He's going to have a honeymoon. He's going to have a good summer. We're going to be excited to have him around here, and we're excited about the future that you have in ministry. But that's going to take care of it for our episode today. We're thankful for you for listening. We'd love for you to like and subscribe to the podcast, share it with your friends. Let us know what you think. You can email us at podcast@shepnaz.org, and you can find out more about what's happening here through our website, social media pages. And as always, thanks for listening. For Pastor Brett, I'm Joey. Have a great day.
This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.